Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome in our Microsoft Ignite update video. In this video, we will be going to talk about all the updates for Azure data which is released in the Microsoft Ignite event. Well, here are the updates which has been released in the Microsoft Ignite update, and all of these updates are basically the enhancements or new features which are included into the existing data services, right? So let's quickly jump into the deep dive and understand what are these updates are. Now the first update which we have is for Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform now adds integrated partner ecosystem. What that means is it's going to allow a partner ecosystem to meet a customer where they are in with the selected cloud-based partner solution that complement native cloud capabilities with better solutions, all within the integrated Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform. Now, this is the first wave of partner solution span each layer of Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform, including the following updates. Now, for the database, MongoDB and YogaByteDB bringing the leading cloud-native NoSQL and NewSQL database together with the analytics and data governance within the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform. Second update which we have is for analytics, Informatica, Confluent, DBT Labs, 510, QuickLink, and Steams bring low-code, no-code data integration and transformation solution for analytics to simplify the process of building and operating the complex enterprise-grade pipelines to integrate the data from a variety of source and transform the pipelines with a single pane experience in the Microsoft Purview. The third update which we have is for the data governance, for which that means Profiles, Cludelin, Delpex, and OneTrust represent master data management, compliance, and security solution for hybrid and multi-cloud data estates. Now, these are the new updates which has been integrated with Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform and allow integrated partner ecosystems to have the solution in place for Azure services or by using the cloud native capabilities. Now the next update which we have is for Azure Cosmos DBs now adding the distributed PostgreSQL support, right? So what that means is the Cosmos DBs now bring the fast, flexible, scalable service to open source relational data with the introduction of distributed PostgreSQL support built on the hyperscale engines. The new Azure Cosmos DBs for PostgreSQL bring everything developer love about the Postgres and the powerful cuts extension to Microsoft fast and scalable database for cloud native app deployment, right? uh, Developer can now build apps with both relational and non-relational databases using the similar database service. Cosmos DB include the improvement to developer experience for open source technologies. MongoDB developer can now store larger document with 16 MB document supporting the Cosmos DB for MongoDB, right? And all of these updates are generally available. Now, what that means is it means like Cosmos DBs can be used for relational and non-relational database both at the same time. Now, which means your one database or can be used for both of the things. He can the data Cosmos DBs can add or can store the documents for non-relational database, and you can also use you can add the database services or you can use the Cosmos to store as a non-relational database as well. So these are the new capabilities has been there for the Cosmos DB. The next update which we have is for Azure database for Postgres flexible server now have a capability to encrypt at a rest with customer managed key. What that means is the flexible server would be allow to customer to encrypt the data at rest, which is basically stored on the Microsoft storage account or the Microsoft storage, which is basically attached to the flexible server, will be have a flexibility to encrypt the data. Now earlier we only have a Microsoft managed keys for encryption at the rest, but now customer can use their own keys, which is a customer managed keys to basically encrypt the data at rest. What that means is, now by having these things, it will offer customer an additional layer of control by enabling the centralized management of encryption keys, addressing the specific security and compliance requirement, and putting the organization in the full control of a key using the permission in the life cycle, right? The customer managed key is basically stored in the key vault, a centralized key management service that provide the additional security, high availability, and the disaster recovery capability, right? So this is a feature which is currently in preview but soon be available into the general availability. The next feature we have is for Azure database for MySQL. Now have a Autoscale IO feature. Now this is a very important thing because as we know, all the operations basically which is happen on the databases, any kind of databases, either is a SQL, either is a Postgres, or either say Microsoft databases, all of them basically have the input output operations, right? And those operations basically depends on the skew of the database size basically which is selected. Now we have auto scaling feature. What that means is the the input and output operations can be scaled on the demand of the workload without having the pre-provision a certain amount of IOPS for per setting, right? Or per second. What that means is customer will enjoy worry-free IOPS management in the Azure database for MySQL flexible server, because this server will scale input output operations or IOPS up and down automatically, depends on the workload need. What that means is, if let's take an example, the workload is doing some sort of import task or some sort of export task, in that way they need to have a more IOPS. So the flexible server will be automatically going to scale the IOPS requirement and will be going to scale down automatically once the work is completed. With auto scaling IO preview, Azure data for MySQL, customer pay only for the IOPS they consume and no longer need to provision and pay for the resources they are not fully using, saving the both time and the money. In addition, mission critical tier 1 apps can achieve consistent performance by making the additional IOPS available to the workload at any time. Autoscale IOPS eliminate the administration required to provide the best performance at the least cost for Azure database for MySQL customers. This feature is now in preview. So what that means is, customer is it's going to be have a safe it's going to be save the costing for the customer perspective as well, right? How? So let's take an example. There is a customer who don't need a more size of a CPU, I can say the DTU or the performance, right? But the customer or the workload required the more IOPS, where they can only going to pay for the IOPS they have used. They're not going to pay for the resources which they are not fully using, which eventually can save the time and money also. So this is what the new feature related to the auto scaling available is currently in preview for Azure database for MySQL and will be in general availability soon. The next update which we have is for Oracle database. Now Azure Data Studio support Oracle database assessment for migration to the Azure-managed database. Now what that means is, right? So the data migration assessment for Oracle Azure Data Studio extension, basically which is powered by data migration service, now offer a migration or assessment for moving from Oracle database to Azure database for PostgreSQL. The assessment basically include the data migration recommendation and the evaluation of the data code complexity. Through the same tooling, customer can get targeted size recommendation for Oracle database migration to the Azure database for MySQL and Azure SQL, including the Azure SQL database hyperscale. which is the ideal for the large workload up to 100 TB. These updates are currently in preview. So soon all of these updates will be going to be available in the general availability. So with all of these changes, it's going to be simplify the migrations because you don't need to worry about how you migrate your Oracle databases to the Azure database for MySQL or PostgreSQL, right? That's where you can take the advantage of uh, these assessment tool to migrate the Oracle databases on the Azure PaaS. Now the next update which we have is for Azure Synapse Analytics is basically having a few features. All of these features is basically in preview and will be coming. So now Azure Synapse Analytics is adding a two features to deliver the simple no-code extension to integrate M365 data with Synapse Analytics, right? So what those two features are, the first feature is a new pipeline template for M365 data is coming in preview, will simplify the configuration experience by enabling a one-click experience to set up the mapping, the data flow. This new feature will eliminate the extra step needed to connect with Microsoft 365 source data for analytic and making it easier for customer to configure a always synced and compliant integration, right? So this is the first update. The next update which we have is mapping data flow is coming in preview, builds on top of copy activity functionality by improving the way M365 data is brought into the in for the analysis. Mapping data flow will clean, normalize and flatten the data in multiple data sinks such as the Azure Data Lake Storage, Azure Cosmos DBs, and Synapse SQL DW, which is the dedicated SQL pool. Flattened data is much cheaper and faster to process with big data processing. Additional data sync support given customer flexibility and the greater efficiency in constructing the data pipeline that optimize the workload. So these are the two updates basically which is coming in preview soon for Azure Synapse Analytics. The next update which we have is for machine learning update into the Azure Synapse. So we have a two new updates. First is R language support with key library management capability is now in preview. The R language will enable the data scientists to apply the industry leading R language to process the data and develop the machine learning modules. The next update which we have is a new version of Synapse ML library is now available. The Synapse ML is a massively scalable machine learning library built on Apache Spark, aiming to simplify the creation of machine learning pipeline. This new language include .NET support integration with generative pre-trained transformer, which is also known as a GPT, language module, ML flow integration, and more. So these are the new update basically for Azure Synapse with new machine learning capabilities. The next update which we have is for Azure Data Explorer. Now Azure Data Explorer add a new source for near real-time analytics. So as we know, Azure Data Explorer is a fully managed and high-performance big data analytics platform that make it easy to analyze high volumes data in near real time. The data Azure Data Explorer tool give customer a complete solution for data ingestion, queries, visualization, and the management, right? And the new source basically which are added for ingestion support are Azure S3 service, which is a simple store service, Azure Synapse link for Azure Cosmos DB to Azure Data Explorer, open telemetry metrics, logs and trace, Azure Stream Analytic output. Next is streaming ingestion support for the Telegraph agent output. So these are the new capabilities. Our new source has been added for near to real-time analytics, right? These additions make it easy to bring the data into the Azure Data Explorer to provide a near real-time analytics and give the customer a complete solution for data ingestions, queries, visualization, and the management. The next update which we have is for Azure Data Factory. SAP Change Data Connector for Azure Data Factory is now in journal available, right? Uh, this feature basically current was in preview in June 2022. Allow customer to easily bring the SAP data into the Azure for analytics, AI, and the other apps. Using the Azure Data Factory, industry leading data integration services, customer can ingest the data from diverse data source such as a multi-cloud, SaaS, and on-premise, and transform the data at scale. Azure Data Factory works seamlessly to combine the data and prepare it at a cloud scale. Customer can use Azure Data Factory to ingest the data from the different SAP data source, maybe SAP HANA or maybe on a SAP cloud for customer, and combine them with the data from their operational source, right? Like Azure Cosmos DB and the Azure SQL family. This enable customer to gain deep insight from both SAP and the non-SAP data, right? So this is a new changes which is there for Azure Data Factory. Now the next update which we have is for a Microsoft Purview data governance, help business and user to do more, right? So Microsoft Purview data governance, the unified governance platform for hybrid data state, have a several new features which are improved root cause analysis and traceability with SQL dynamic lineage and fine grained lineage on Power BI datasets. Dataset customer can do through root cause analysis from a single location in Microsoft Purview. Meta model that will enable customer to define organizations, departments, data domains, and business process on their technical data. This feature is currently in preview. Machine learning based classifications will make detection of human names, addresses, sample, and scalable into the data user data, right? And this feature is also in is basically in the currently in Purview. So all of these updates are basically there for Microsoft Purview data governance. Well, that's it in this video. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.